A search is underway in Texas for a gunman who allegedly killed 5 of his next-door neighbors, including an 8-year-old on Friday. Sheriff's deputies say the suspect entered the neighbor's house firing his AR-15 execution style after they asked him to stop firing the gun in his yard while their baby slept. Thursday, we spoke with some parents about the impact of gun violence on their children, and we began with a mother who says her biggest concern about raising her young daughter is her safety.
We never had things like lockdown drills or anything like that in school. Having her come home when she was even in kindergarten and first grade telling me about this is something that is a little bit concerning to me.
What was that conversation like? How did you talk to her about gun violence?
Well, I live in a home where my husband does have firearms, and we've learned to use them like respectfully. And there's a lot of rules and regulations around the safe use of guns. She didn't really seem very scared about it. She said that, the teachers did a very good job of it. What was concerning to me is just like at such a young age that they're learning that this could happen.
I know, Scott, you are in Ohio, and Wayne, you are in Arkansas. I imagine you are familiar with guns yourselves in your communities.
Yes, and also lockdown drills. My wife is an early childhood intervention specialist and has been for decades, and I've been a substitute teacher. Luckily, we have not had any shooters in those, but we've had to talk to our kids, and they've had to live through us notifying them that we were locked down in a school and them notifying us that they were locked down in schools.
Does that cause your children to worry?
They've seen us make it through it, and they have understood what the lockdowns were about. Often they were in my wife's neighborhood, somebody was shot a couple blocks away, but that's enough to lock down the school. I think they understand, that there is a risk, but that risk is spread out across the United States, and even with the awful amount that's happening, the chances of them happening at their very school on that day, they have bigger worries.
Wayne, how much concern does gun violence cause for your children, particularly in school?
With me being ex-military, I'm a veteran, they come to me telling me we want to learn. My biggest concern is I have an elementary school here that when everybody's inside, it turns into a prison. All the gates are locked, all the windows are locked. And I'm kind of concerned about that because if it gets past the front door, they can't get out.
Scott, I know in your state there was recently a law passed to make it easier for public school teachers to carry guns. Do you think that makes schools more secure?
No, I think that it does quite the opposite. Again, a school shooter is not a common experience. You bring in guns into classrooms, then you have millions of guns across the nation in classrooms 5 days a week. You have all sorts of opportunities to create a gun disaster, which you wouldn't have had before they did this.
Show of hands, do all of you believe that mental health is an issue right now and primarily to blame for the gun violence that we've been seeing? Raise your hand if you think that's true. All of you think mental health.
I do think it's a contributing factor, though, especially when you see some of the school shootings with some of the younger individuals. Yeah. I feel like we're not doing enough to stop it from happening.
Okay, so how many of you, show of hands, think gun laws should be more strict in your state? Scott, you're the only one who wants your state of Ohio to have stricter gun laws. Okay. How many of you think the federal government can do more to make life safer for kids when it comes to gun violence? Scott, again, you're the only one. Christine, why don't you think that the government can do more?
A lot of people think of restricting, causing more laws. And the truth of it is that the criminals don't listen to the laws. If they did, they wouldn't be criminals.
And Wayne, when it comes to mental health, you also don't think there's something that the state or federal government could do as it relates to the link between mental health and gun violence?
I think the laws that are already on the books need a little bit more human involvement. We need to have more people that look at who's picking up this gun and what they're going to do with it.
How many of you are optimistic about the country right now? Raise your hand if you're optimistic. Wayne and Scott, Christine? No?
I mean, the economy's not great. Some of the relationships with foreign countries are not as good as they used to be. I mean, it's just, yeah, I do think like drugs are a big deal to me. The bullying is a big deal. I don't know. I do think there's a lot of issues.
I'm a born again Christian. I have a very tight understanding of what that means. I am seeing this country at this moment. In 10 years, it's going to be about the same. They're making it seem like there's something going on that's pulling our economy down. And if we keep thinking that, we will go down. If we change our mindset, if you can shake it off, the sun comes up, you keep going. Scott,
what are you optimistic about?
It also is related to my church experience. I see a lot of people connecting and still connecting. You see on the media how everything is going down and is just on the edge of falling off a cliff. I think we can pull together and move ahead.
We've got to pull together, because if we don't, we will go down that rabbit hole.
I like your sentiment that we all need to pull together. I think that's a good note for us to end on today. We'll be right back.